Real talk. They planning and plotting our extermination. And it's as if we are so focused on just trying to, I don't know, shuck and jive and trying to act like we doing something that we really not doing, which is building, that we can't even see what they doing. We headed for self-destruction, man. It's just crazy. I'm telling you, I was just doing I was making a case for extermination and talking about critical analysis of a lady by the name of Margaret Sanger. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm telling you, man, hate is in her heart. She's killing people through eugenics. You know what I'm saying? Planned Parenthood and all of that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna talk about that. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Nah, look, man, people they trying to fool everybody. Why they show you they hate you, but you so drugged out. You so poor, you so focused on trying to get money, you so focused on everything except the mission of self-preservation. And it has to be a mission. And you gotta wake up every day ready for war. That's how I'm thinking, man. All right, hey, I'm ready anytime you ready, man. I should be talking to the camera. I'm talking. Why you talking to me? All right, let's go.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
I was just speaking to a couple of my friends and some of my compadres and my comrades, and we was talking about the case for extermination. I was talking about this critical analysis of Margaret Sanger and racial eugenics being her agenda, right? And it made me think, you know what? This is something that people not really talking about, but it's really something that is affecting the racial problem in America, the health policies in America, and it really has a direct impact on American history. So I had to get on and I had to talk about it. You got me? Now, I don't know what point of your life you're in, because we're all on this journey. So I don't know if you're a scholar. I don't know if you're a lady. I don't know if you're a gentleman. I don't know if you're a gangster. I don't know if you're a student of life. But I'm a student in life, and I'm a student of history. And what I want to do is I want to confront a very uncomfortable subject, and basically an uncomfortable question that is lingering in the side of American memory. It's just right there, and it's being suppressed. And this is the question: was Margaret Sanger a pioneer of reproductive rights, or was she the architect of racial suppression and extermination through eugenics? Now, if you don't know, Margaret Sanger, she was celebrated as the founder of Planned Parenthood. But I'm telling you, listen to this. If you analyze who she is, then you will find that she is a participant in a systemic agenda that sought to reduce, eliminate, eradicate, and exterminate the Black population. And when I say that, it was done under the disguise of public health. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because me and a friend of mine, we were talking about the Tuskegee experience and the Tuskegee experiment in America. How they had all of these health aficionados and these health organizations flooding the Black community, acting as if they were there to help them. But they were in disguise, and they were contaminating them with poison and watching them die to do a study on them. And then they lied about it for 100 years. So just look up the Tuskegee experiment and you will see the evil that is beyond evil that happened right here in America. So anyway, to answer the question and I just presented to you, what I want to do is I want to jump in a time machine. We got to jump into a time machine because we have to transport our minds to the early 20th century. So we are transporting right now. We're just stepping into the earlier 20th century. Now, if you don't know, that was a time when eugenics was not crazy pseudoscience. It was the mainstream policy. It was endorsed by scientists, philanthropists, politicians, everybody. And they had this lady by the name of Margaret Sanger. Oh man, she was a vocal advocate of eugenic sterilization. And guess who the people she called defective? Guess who were called unfit? Guess who were called reckless breeders? See, they didn't have X or Twitter or social media then, but guess what? They had newspapers. They were pushing it all through their little social media sections of the newspaper. So what I want you to do, I want you to read a book called The Pivot of Civilization. Because in her book in 1922, the book is called The Pivot of Civilization. Let me tell you what she wrote and then explain it. The most urgent problem today is how to limit and discourage the overfertility of the mentally and physically defective. Who do you think she was talking about? Who do you think she was talking about? She called you mentally defective. You were physically defective because you was inferior. She would later add that the gradual suppression, elimination, and eventual extirpation of defective stock was you. She called you human weeds. Now, if you don't know, if you've ever saw a nicely manicured lawn and you see that species of grass and you're like, oh man, this looks beautiful. And then you see that weed, you hate that weed because it messes up the beautification process and just the aesthetic of this beautiful grass right here. She called you weeds. You are human weeds. Did you hear what I said? A defective flower. Those human weeds which threaten the blooming of the finest flowers of American civilization. That's not a metaphor. It wasn't. Listen. She believed in the biological eradication of you. Now, that type of language is perfectly similar to, or has a disturbing resemblance to the language that's used by white supremacists and nationalists during every movement they've ever had, especially during this time, because the KKK was running rampant. See, it was okay to do every evil thing to black people during this time. So now this is what I want you to consider. The 1939 Negro Project. Please do some Googles, because if you don't Google, you may have never heard of it. You may have never heard of it because It's not pushed in mainstream, you understand? So Google the 1939 Negro Project, and then you'll see some things, some very interesting things. And the reason why I say some very interesting things, because on the surface, it's claiming to provide birth control to the African American community in the South. And if you just take evil people for what they say, they will always have the best language. But this is what I want you to understand. Behind the public relation campaign, because you know the Tuskegee experience, those health organizations ran by the government, they had the same public relation campaign. They was trying to help the community. And every day they were exterminating you. So like I said, they got this gigantic public relations strategy in this marketing campaign. And when I tell you it was a carefully constructed strategy, they did something that you'll never see. They even said, we don't want word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population. That's what Margaret Sanger wrote. She wrote that to a man by the name of Dr. Clarence Gamble. Please do not ignore this. Go back and do your research. When I tell you this is an evil, cynical, maniacal, demonic admission of the intent of eradication, extermination of a population that were labeled black and eventually be called African American, Negro, foundational Black Americans. You divide people who look like this so much, I don't know what label you want. You want me to say you black because black means everything evil, so then I call you black, and then I meet somebody that I call black, and then they don't want me to call them black. Oh, I'm not black. I'm the foundational Black American. Oh, you call somebody, oh, okay, you FBA, okay, cool. All right, you FBA, no, don't call me foundational Black American. I'm a nigga. Okay. What? So then you use the N-word. Oh, no, don't call me the N-word. Don't you dare use that. I'm African American. I'm American African. Y'all chopping you up. You're chopping yourself up so much, I don't know what to do with you. I don't know how to talk to you. But I'm gonna tell you this. Margaret Sanger anticipated real goals. She had a projection about who you were as an individual. And what I'm trying to do in this video is I'm trying to expose this craziness. Eventually, America is going to use and has used all of this, I'm going to call it presumptive public relations and marketing campaigns for damage control. But no clarification is needed. None whatsoever. Nothing is needed. I understand the intent. I know who she was targeting, and I know how it's applied right now. That's what I know. I know that Margaret Sanger insisted that black ministers be recruited to lead her initiatives. Not because she believed that her agency was righteous and trying to do something positive, but this is what she said. She said that the minister is the man who can straighten out the idea if it ever occurs to any of them to be rebellious members. So in other words, she used black voices to mask white eugenic intent. I need you to understand this strategy. I need you to understand this strategy. Now, I was just talking to my brother, and we were talking about El Hajj Malik Shabazz scoffing and laughing at these entertainers that the white Jewish media choose and select to be leaders of the African American community. Malcolm X, that's who I'm talking about. He was saying Dick Gregory is not a community leader. Lena Horne is not a community leader. Malcolm X was like, look, the white Jewish media picked the African American leader and tell you this is your leader, and they're always choosing these entertainers. And I said, oh man, he cooking right there. He is cooking right there. So now I'm using this thought process when I'm thinking about Margaret Sanger. Do you understand me? So this is basically a strategy that she used, a strategy of social engineering disguised as social service. So she would use these ministers to basically reassure the black community, because the community that's labeled black, African American, etc., they are stuck on religion. You so stuck on religion that you can't even see the division. You so stuck. You stuck on Allah, Jesus, and this, that, and the third. If they can keep you stuck on religion, because they not stuck on religion, you can never unify. And right now, it's unify or die. So now when I'm thinking about Margaret Sanger, to say that she sought extermination, to me, if you just do a little research, it does not even require a single smoking gun. You know what I'm saying? Because if you do the research, you're going to see that you'll see statements like, I want to kill black people. Do you understand me? People are making it plain and clear that you are not liked and you can't see it. History don't work in a way where the liar tells you, hey, I'm lying. You have to look and you have to study. You have to look at the structural intent, and you compare the structural intent of something to the functional outcome of it. So when you're looking at Sanger's use of eugenic language, I need you to think about how it perfectly aligns with white supremacist ideology. Think about her fit talk. Mentally fit, the mental fitness, the physical fitness. You were weeds. She was talking about the American flowers. She wasn't talking about you, black people. You were weeds. So if you're a weed and she's doing Planned Parenthood and she's using ministers in the spiritual community to kind of guide you along, making, the decisions that you make, you don't think that she would support targeted sterilization? And if you look at the records right now, look at the statistics. This type of targeted sterilization, they disproportionately impact whose community? Your community. You were the person that was labeled defective. You were the person labeled layman, feeble-minded. You were called a burden to society. Mind you, You built up this society, but you were a burden to society. And when you were building up this society, guess what? You were told that you were lazy while you were building up the society. This is the mind trick that's been played on you. This was a specific culturally designed system, specifically designed to impact and affect you in a negative manner. So I'm telling you that Margaret Sanger did not, I'm going to say, march under the banner of overt racism. But the things that she believed in, her policies, her practices, if you view them through a racialized historical lens, it served as the assassination of Black population. So she engineered a system of Black population control, and it aligned disturbingly with a lot of white supremacist ideology right now. So I need you to do the research. If you do not do the research, you are gonna fall. Right now, the mentality is unify or die. I have tried to present a thought process. All I want you to do is do some research, critical analysis. I understand that Margaret Sanger in America is looked upon as an individual who did like health reform. You got me? She's looked upon as some women rights advocate. But I want you to understand that you have to look beyond the Americanized propaganda, the slogans, the sound bites, and you gotta have sober precision when you're thinking. You need to demand history through a emotional perspective. You need to demand history and view it with an emotional perspective. Because she's not misunderstood, but she's given all the accolades. All you gotta do is Google her name. You'll find all these great things. Oh, she's this. Listen. When I think about Margaret Sanger, her life was inflammatory. She believed in racial genocide. And nothing is going to change my mind because I made this assessment myself. Nobody told me this. We are living in a time of political warfare. We are in modern warfare for real. And propaganda tells you everything to make it where you're not using your mind. Anybody who calls for your extermination, look, you can never trust them. Never trust them. You think people are sad about you being born in poverty? You think people care about your mental health? You think people care about your mental illness? You think people care that you're a burden to your family? You think that people care if you die? The government sent in healthcare practitioners. And they gave you shots and vaccinations and things of that nature. And they studied what their vaccinations would do on you. The Tuskegee experiment proves it. So you don't ever think in your brain, they got this, they keep pushing these, this plan, these pregnancy terminations over and over and over, and they fighting in the courts on when a fetus is alive and when it's a human, this, that, and the third. And then if you look at the statistics, you can get fooled if you want. Because some people are fooled. They think that this is a people trying to assist women to control their reproductive destiny. I've heard that before. But listen, a plan was put in place to exterminate the Negro population. They wrote letters about it. There's no misinterpretation. There's a lot of mistrust. If you use your brain, they used a lot of black ministers and doctors through manipulation tactics because they understand that you're not competent as it applies to healthcare. But they use black ministers and healthcare providers because they understand that, hey, these are the people who are culturally competent and they understand the healthcare. They understand the delivery of it. So they got to give the evil to the people or person or people that you trust. And they always do it in marginalized communities. So read the Negro Project, please. Sometimes it angers me when I think about Mary McLeod Bethune, W.E.B. Du Bois, because sometimes I think that they were used by the people who did not like individuals who were labeled black. I'm gonna tell you this before I get out of here, because I've taken up a lot of your time. You're probably not even here right now, because I'm not here right now. I'm living in rage. I believe that family planning is very important. It's a very great tool that you use to advance your community. And I once read W.E.B. Du Bois say that the mass ignorant Negroes still breed carelessly and disastrously, so that the increase among Negroes even more with the increase among whites. And I said, that's interesting that the scholar would be saying that publicly so that everybody could hear. I find that problematic. Even in today's standards, I find it problematic. But once again, I just had to get on and talk about Margaret Sanger. And I do believe that family planning uplifts different individuals within that family especially if they are fighting against systemic oppression. I believe that totally. But I see the problem. I see the public health problem. I see the poverty. I believe that she, as in Margaret Sanger, supported voluntary and involuntary sterilization through coercion. So in my mind, she was just like a Nazi, you know, because the Nazis, they believed in eugenics, you know, and they wanted racial purity. They had all these theories on racial purity. So I look at her like she was a Hitler. She was a Hitler. Now, I do understand that Planned Parenthood is in a lot of Black communities, and they provide a lot of reproductive services. You know, they do cancer screening, prenatal care, all of this type of stuff, right? But don't you ever forget that this elitist, this Nazi condescending individual in perfect alignment with eugenics and extermination and eradication, and advocated the genocide of your people. Don't ever forget it, because everybody wants you to forget it. This stuff is being swept under the rug, and it's to the point where when I'm talking like I'm talking right now, I sound like a crazy person. But I know the homicidal and the genocidal intent to what they stood for. And I'll never forget it. And I'm gonna teach it to my children so they'll never forget it. Because when someone shows you who they are, you need to really believe that they are what they showed you. People are not what they say, they are what they do. These people are showing you that they hate you, and you need to believe them.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?